morning, everyone. In today's lectures, we are going to learn about the effect of noise on frequency modulation, and it's also abbreviated as FM. So, what's the outline? It's a recap of FM, quick recap, and the FM system, which is getting affected by the noise, derivation of output signal to noise ratio, and um, the contributions taken in these slides are from chapter 12 of B.P. Lathi, the book which I recommended to you. So the frequency modulation, as we know that, let me bring the pointer. So fundamental difference between AM and FM. AM, message information contained in the signal amplitude. So additive noise. So I'm going to explain you a bit of additive noise and how it affects in a different slide, so you know what is the effect of there's a common acronym which is called as AWGN. So it's called as additive white Gaussian noise. So I'm going to explain you there, but it basically, you can say that here the noise is getting added to the signal. So the noise corrupts directly the modulated signal. FM is your message information contained in the signal frequency. So the effects of noise on an FM signal is determined by the extent to which it changes the frequency of the modulated signal. Consequently, we can say that FM signal is less affected by noise than AM signals, because it's easy to add the amplitudes, change in the amplitudes in AM signals, because AM signals are modulated by changing the carrier amplitude using the modulating signal, while in frequency modulation we are changing the carrier frequency depending upon the value of your modulating signal. So FM signals are, can say, less vulnerable to the noise as compared. So if you remember that a carrier ST is denoted as A cos theta IT for frequency modulation, where theta IT is the instantaneous phase angle. When ST is equals to A cos 2 pi ft, theta IT equals to 2 pi ft, we may say that d by dt means the change in the angle is equals to 2 pi f if you differentiate it with respect to t, or you can say f is equals to 1 upon 2 pi d theta by dt. So if we say it with respect to an instantaneous frequency, then we can say FIT means at any particular time instant t, FIT is 1 upon 2 pi d by dt of theta IT. In FM, the instantaneous frequency of the carrier varies linearly with the message. So we can say FIT equals to FC plus KFMT, which we did in the FM, the notes of FM, where Kf is the frequency sensitivity of the modulator, and hence if we assume that theta I 0 is equals to, means at time t equals to 0 is equals to 0, then we can say theta I t is equals to 2 pi 0 to t fi tau d tau. Why we are using a different variable here? Because we want our answer to be in terms of t. So it will be 2 pi fct plus 2 pi kf 0 to t m tau d tau. This has been done in the notes of FM also. So we can say st is equals to a cos 2 pi fct plus 2 pi kf 0 to t m tau d tau. Note here the envelope is constant. Signal st is a non-linear function of the message mt. Linear, you can say this is the linear function where this function is varying with the value of mt, and there is a constant getting multiplied to it every time. However, here if you see, we are integrating m tau every time, so it's not a linear function, it's a non-linear function of t. So for the bandwidth of FM, MP is if peak message amplitude, or you can say the maximum amplitude of the message signal is MP, then you can say MP is equals to basically max of MT, and here it's Fc minus kfmp is less than instantaneous frequency is less than Fc plus kfmp. You can see the instantaneous frequency is always between Fc minus kfmp and Fc plus kfmp. Let me bring the pointer again, sorry. So it's basically Fc minus kfmp and this one is Fc plus kfmp. Okay, now frequency deviation, if you remember the notes of Fm, then is the deviation of the instantaneous frequency from the carrier frequency. So we denote it by delta F is equals to kf mp here. There we were using am. So it's basically the different notations so that you are aware of that there might be a variation in the notations, but you must know the meaning of the signal there. So it's basically, you can say that these things are dummy variables, so you can use any variable. The main thing is that the the concept of the can say variable should not change. So if I'm saying that this is a maximum amplitude, peak amplitude, then it should be, if I'm using it as am also. So deviation ratio is beta and is delta f divided by w, where w is the for a small bandwidth. If you remember, then for small beta, the fm bandwidth is equals to twice of message bandwidth, then it is a narrow band fm. When large beta, fm bandwidth is greater than twice of message bandwidth, then it is wide band fm. This is one of the scientists who derive this relation. It is Carson's rule, and that it will be bt equals to 2w beta plus 1. So it will be 2 delta f plus w. When beta is less than 1, then bt is almost equals to twice of w. So means this term will reduce to 1 as in am. When beta is greater than 1, then bt reduced to your twice delta f, means this term will be there only, and it's basically, you can say, independent of your bandwidth. Now for a FM receiver, so we don't calculate the noise effect at the transmitter side, we always calculate it on the receiver side. So this is the signal received by the signal ST, and we assume that the noise which is getting added to it is WT, and we have a band pass filter, we have a limiter, we have a discriminator and a baseband low pass filter, and then we get an output signal. So what happens is that the band pass filter removes any signals outside the bandwidth of Fc plus minus beta t by 2. So the band pass filter, as I explained in the filter chapter, it works in a certain band of frequencies. So the band of frequencies here is Fc minus beta t by 2 and Fc plus beta t by 2. So the prediction noise at the receiver is band pass with a bandwidth of Bt only. So it works in a way that we define that our signal which we want to extract is limited within the range in which my FM is operating there. So FM signal has a constant envelope. Use a limiter to remove any amplitude variations. So if you remember that there is no change in the amplitude of the signal when we are using frequency modulation. The only changes there will be with respect to the frequency. So if there is a variation in the signal, so we use a limiter, means which limits the variation. Suppose the signal is supposed to be 5 and it's getting 5.05, then it again limits it, so it will be 5 again. Discriminator, a device with output proportional to the deviation in the instant frequency. It recovers the message signal. So you need not to know it in detail, So this is a device with output proportional to the deviation in the instantaneous frequency. So there is a discriminator used. So what will happen is that, so suppose let's say my frequency initial was 2, now it's changed to 2.5. So if the output of this device will be proportional to the deviation in the instantaneous frequency. So it will operate on the basis of the deviation. So if the change is of 0.05 hertz, then it recovers the signal in that particular range. Then we have a final baseband low pass filter with a bandwidth of W. It passes the message signal and removes out of band noise. So low pass filter operates in a band of W, start from 0 and going up to W, and it will extract the original signal. Now linear argument at high SNR. FM is a non-linear modulation, means superposition does not hold. If you want to go in detail, it can be shown in chapter 9 that for high SNR, noise output and message signals are approximately independent of each other. So you can say that for high SNR, output is equals to approximately equals to message plus noise. Any non-linear systems are locally linear. Noise does not affect power of the message signal at the output. We can compute the signal power for the case without the noise and accept that the results hold for the case with noise too. So what it means here is that suppose a signal is having a very high SNR value, then you can easily extract the message signal and the noise signal, because we know for high SNR means the signal is of good quality received at the receiver, so we can easily extract the noise. But if the noise level is so much that it is basically corrupting the original message signal, then you have to apply certain rules, or you can say complex methods to extract the original signal. So if we are doing power of signal at the output without noise, so if we are considering that there is no noise there, then instantaneous frequency of the signal is Fi equals to Fc plus KFMT. Output of discriminator is your KFMT, because it depends upon the change there, means how much is the frequency sensitivity of the message signal. So that is your frequency variation and it is MT. So the output power will be equals to your K square F P, where P is the average power of the message signal. Average power will be calculated in a similar way we did for AM. So if the amplitude is, let's say, AM, then it will be AM square by 2 here. Okay, so the basically the power will be dependent on your frequency sensitivity, so it's going to affect it in terms of square. In the presence of additive noise, so if we consider that there is a noise there, the real pre-detection signal is, so this is the original signal, and then we are considering that you have a in phase and quadrature phase signals coming there. So it will be NC T cos 2 pi FCT and minus NS T sin 2 pi FCT, as we considered for a amplitude modulation. So it can be shown by linear argument. Therefore, high SNR, noise output approximately independent of the message signal. We only have the carrier and noise signals present. In order to calculate the power of the noise, we may use that xt. Please ignore this. This is xt equals to a cos 2 pi fct plus nc cos 2 pi fct minus ns t sin 2 pi fct. So what basically it means is that when you have very high SNR, so the noise output approximately independent of the message signal. So means the output of the noise is independent of the message signal. Which part of the signal is including the message signal. Message signal is m of t. We are changing a different variable here because we are integrating it from 0 to t. So it still means t is there. So in that case, this part is not affecting the noise. So we are not considering it for the calculations. So this part is ignored here. So it will be a cos 2 pi fct. This part is there and this part is here. Now the phasor diagram of the FM carrier and noise signals, if you want to write the phasor diagram for the noise, so it will be something like this, that you have a NCT on this side, NS on this side, because if you see it as a having a negative value, so it's going changing the direction and the resultant will be somewhere here, but this is not going to be the part of the test. It's just to show you the interpretation of the phasor diagram if you have done phasor diagram in your electrical circuits. So if you have a xt equals to a cos 2 pi fct, and if you take sorry, I just need to bring the pointer. So it's xt equals to a cos 2 pi fct plus nct cos 2 pi fct, and you see that cos 2 pi fct is common between them, so it's basically a plus nct outside the bracket cos 2 pi fct and minus nst sine 2 pi fct. So there is a bracket close here. And if you want to find the phase of this, so you can say that this is in phase and this is quadrature phase. So if you remember the rule of your complex number, if you have a 10 in a function as z equals to x plus I y or jy, then the angle is always equals to tan inverse y divided by x. So it will be nst, because this is for sine, or you can just do it directly, that if I divide this part with this part, then you can see clearly that, let me bring the pen here, that you have sine so if I say with respect to your this, then sine 2 pi fct, sorry it's a sine 2 pi f and c t divided by your cos 2 pi f c t. You can say it's tan 2 pi f c t, and you can see clearly that this part is divided by multiplied by ns, this part is divided by a multiplied by a plus nct. So this is part is multiplied by nst and this part is multiplied by a plus nct. So that's why it's coming like this, because we are taking the effect of instantaneous angle, or we can say we are finding the instantaneous angle. So for large carrier, a is large, so we can say that a is greater than nct. So theta it then becomes nst. Let me bring the laser enter. So it's nst divided by a. Now discriminator output is always dependent upon the variation, so we can say it is fit is equals to 1 upon 2 pi d by dt of t. So when you will put this value there, you will differentiate basically this one. We can say that discriminator output in the presence of signal and noise and then will be kf mt plus 1 upon 1 divided by 2 pi a into d by dt of nst. What is the PSD of dnst? PSD is an important way of finding the power in some way. So it's basically power spectral density. I'll post a mathematical, can say, formulas and try to explain in form of video also, so that you understand what is PSD. If it's not taught to you in your mathematics, then still I will, Even if it's taught to you in mathematics, then I will try to cover it there. So it's for with respect to Fourier, if you remember that xt is xf, the Fourier transform of xt is xf, then d by dt of xt will be j 2 pi f x of f. So it's basically differentiation in time domain. So passing means the passing the signal through a system with a transfer function of this much. So when you are differentiating a signal in time domain, it's basically you are multiplying it with j 2 pi f in frequency domain. So if you see that, we can say that the PSD of the output signal, the PSD of the output signal is equals to HF square and PSD of the input signal. Now the thing is that how to understand it in a better way. If you remember that we have done this, that y of t, if you have y of t is equals to ht, if you remember the convolution, and x of t. So when you were taking the Fourier transform, this was basically y omega, or you can say yf also, yf equals to h f into, it's into now, means multiply, into x of f. Okay, so because we are now taking the PSD, so the PSD on this side is denoted by yf. It has a square factor. This will also become a square factor, and this will also become a square factor. So here we have denoted it with the help of your SIF. We have denoted on this side when we are taking PSD by this factor, and this one becomes a mode of HF square. So it's basically the transfer function. If you remember that HT, or the impulse response we used. So Fourier transform is your HT. So if you have a PSD, you want to find the PSD HF of this. So this is that fact. Then PSD HF of d by dt of NST will be j 2 pi f square. This j 2 pi f square comes from, because when we are changing this to frequency domain, then d by dt changes to j 2 pi f into PSD of NTS, means that it's NST. So it's basically the PSD of NST. So we can say that PSD of PSD of NST is equals to N naught within, means N naught is a standard additive white Gaussian noise, into basically in the band plus minus BT by 2. So means this is varying in the band of plus minus BT by 2, the bandwidth of the signal divided by 2. So then PSD of this is equals to basically j 2 pi f whole square into N naught. And PSD of, if I have to find the PSD of FIT, the discriminator output, if you are doing in some way, then, or can the PSD of instantaneous frequency, then it will be 1 upon 2 pi a d by dt of NST, whatever the your PSD of this, you have to put it here. So basically you have to put this value. So it will be j 2 pi f whole square into N naught, and PSD of this part. So it's basically square of this part again, also square of this part into N naught. Here it is linear, here it's getting a square. When you take PSD, it's basically the power factor comes. So when you find the power, you square the amplitude. So that's why you are squaring this part, and then it's denoted by SDF of the, you can say this is the PSD of instantaneous frequency. After the baseband LF, this is restricted in the band plus minus W. So after getting this, we pass it through LPF, and the LPF gives us output, or in the band want to let's see it in terms of a graph. So it's PSD of NS from minus BT by 2 to BT by 2. Remember that there is nothing as negative frequency. This is a way of representation only. So basically all ideal signals, whether they are in time domain or frequency domain, they are always positive. This is the just way to show the interpretation that how the variations are coming from minus side to, or the negative side to positive side. Negative means with respect to, let's say, let me explain you in terms of negative. So if I'm showing that minus 2 here, I'm saying 0 here, I'm saying plus 2 here. So if I show this signal like this, sorry, I just need to show this. So let's say this is 2, then this is 4, not say 4, let me use the eraser. Let's say 6. So you have basically at 4 you have a midpoint. So with respect to this 4, let's say this is on this side, so this is negative, and with respect to this, it's on this side, means the increasing side, then it is positive. So in a similar way the things are calculated mathematically. Otherwise there is nothing as negative frequency and there is nothing as negative time. I don't know whether it has been explained to you in somewhere, but all the signals are defined for positive time and all the frequencies are always positive. It's just the mathematical representation that we are showing them here as minus and this one as positive. So but actual they both are positive. So if you see the power densities for FM, so we have the spectral power density for the noise average signal, power at the noise, yes, at the receiver, power noise power discriminator at the receiver, and if we are doing it for your N node, so then denoted by P, this one. Then we integrate what's the output of our LPF, it's in the band plus minus W. So we will integrate it from minus W to W, whatever our the value of our power spectral density there, and then integrate it with respect to the variable F. So when you will integrate it, then it will be minus W to W 1 upon 2 pi A whole square into J 2 pi F whole square N naught into DF. So this will be the calculation of it. You can see that average noise power at the output of a FM receiver is proportional to 1 upon A square, the carrier power A square. When amplitude increases, noise decreases, called the quieting effect. Quieting effect means like in a classroom the lecturer asks you to be quiet. So basically when you are increasing the amplitude, you are basically reducing the signal to noise ratio, signal being the pointer of output will be equals to 3a square k square f p divided by 2 n naught omega, w is cube, where w is the bandwidth. Then we can say this is the signal to noise ratio of a frequency modulation system. Now if we know that the transmitted power of an FM waveform is Pt equals to a square by 2, we have done this considerably in AM modulation, that what will be the power of any signal which we are transmitting. So it is always A divided by root 2, means A is the amplitude of the signal, or MT, or it can be a carrier signal which we are transmitting, but here it's basically the transmitted power of an FM waveform we are transmitting, and we can say then that signal to noise ratio of a baseband signal which is transmitted in the bandwidth W for a noise there as N naught, is equals to, because this is your signal and this is your noise in that band, so it will be N naught into W. Then we can say that using this we can calculate the relation between signal to noise ratio of baseband signal and signal to noise ratio of complete frequency modulated signal. So what we are going to do here is that we know that PT is equals to A square by 2. So we can say this A square by 2 is our PT, which is here, N naught this W cube, so we can write it as N naught W into W square. So we can replace A square by 2 as PT. We can replace N naught W by this factor here, and we can say that A square by 2 divided by 2 N naught W is equals to signal to noise ratio of a baseband signal. So basically we can say that signal to noise ratio of a frequency modulated signal is equals to thrice of power K square F, the frequency sensitivity factor, divided by bandwidth square into signal to noise ratio of baseband signal we are transmitted. And this is valid when the carrier power is large compared with the noise power, because then only we will be able to detect the original signal. If the noise power is more as compared to the carrier power, then you will not be able to detect the original. The FM detector exhibit a threshold effect like the AM envelope detector, so it's almost work in a similar way if you remember the AM envelope detection method. And the threshold point occurs around when signal power is 10 times noise power. So this thing valid when your signal power is 10 times the noise power, or you can say A square N naught into BT. Just use the BT here because we want to make this rule valid for both your wide band and narrow band. So we are saying instead of W we are using here BT. So it's equals to 10. Then it is valid where your BT is equals to twice W beta plus 1. Thank you.